California Supreme Court upheld Proposition 8 this week. It left a loophole for couples who have already tied the knot. About 18,000 same-sex couples got married before Californians passed Proposition 8, which bans those marriages in November. Well, under the term of this week's court ruling, they're still married. And one of those couples, Juan Rivera and Eric Manriquez, they are in our Los Angeles bureau, and they join us right now. Thank you. It's so nice for you guys to join us.
Thank you for having us.
What a week it's been for you guys, huh?
It's been really emotional and roller coaster, up and down.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
Well, it's a bittersweet thing that we're still married, but it's not equality. We're not being treated the same as everyone else. So, and we're like in a minority of a minority, and that's kind of difficult.
Yeah. What do you make of, Eric, you're on the right. Eric, you're in the blue, right? The solid shirt?
Correct.
Which one is
Yes.
Eric?
I'm there.
You're Eric in the blue solid shirt, and then Juan is, I just want to make sure I get both of you.
Right.
So Juan, obviously I guess when you heard the ruling that you were upset, and then there's no more legally, I think this is the end of the road. There have been lots of protests, and people are saying they're going to put it back on the ballot again. Do you think that's a good idea?
That's a good idea. That's what we're going to do. They're going to fight, and we're going to fight back. And also, like, we are very upset, not for us. We are happy for us, but what about our friends? They want to get married. And also, they cannot do that anymore in California. So that's why we're going to try to go back next November, 2010 November, and be, I don't know, like, put something in
to overturn
the Proposition 8.
Yeah, and as we look at these pictures, I'm sure for some people, who are watching these pictures at home, they may be uncomfortable looking at these pictures. And to you, it's just your normal life, and you guys have decided to spend your life together. So I'm sure there are people who are watching this, and I know there are, who are saying, oh, look at this, oh, look at these two guys together, what have you. Do you think that one day we'll get to a point where this becomes more acceptable for people, whether or not they agree with it or not?
Well, I think it is, and I think the more we talk about this subject, the more people are understanding that we're not taking anything away from other couples. We just want to be happy, the same as everyone else. So, we should have the right to marry whomever we choose.
Don't you understand, though, for many, though, that's their belief. Their belief, and I'm just repeating what people say. They believe that marriage is sacred, and that is their religious belief. That's what they were brought up to believe. That's what they were taught to believe. Can you understand why people are so passionate about not allowing gay people to be married? Is there some understanding on your part about that?
Well, I understand because I was brought up in that way also. It was like, oh, you cannot be that way. But we exist. We're humans. I was born this way. It's not like I chose. It's like saying to someone, oh, well, you chose to being gay. And I didn't choose that. And that's the way I was born. And I don't think anyone should have the right to tell me who I should marry or what I should do or not do because of my sexual orientation.
Okay. Hey, and Juan, real quickly, I'm going to get your response as well.
All right. We came from Mexico, and Mexico is like very hard people. It's like very like machismo, and it's really hard to live in Mexico and have the religious thing, the culture thing, thinking like we are two men and we cannot be married. But like I already said, we born this way. We don't choose to be gay, so I'm gonna be with him, and this is a man, and that's fine for us. I don't care what people say about that.
Juan and Eric, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming on and exposing or opening yourself up to this, because there's lots of criticism, both good and bad, and it takes a very courageous person to come on and share that. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Here's what you guys are saying. Scotty says, Don, I am so mad about Proposition 8. I'm not in California, but I am gay, and I'm so offended Prop 8 wasn't reversed. Shame on Cali. Mark Boss 6 says gays should take their business elsewhere, shouldn't pay taxes, fees. Why should they pay since they are not equal citizens? Joe Orgill says couple is just that, a couple, not a married couple. It's disrespectful to all cultures to call two men married. No right. Odia Bowen 64 says, Prez met with Abbas, flew to Vegas and California, dealt with Congress, nominated Sotomayor. He deserves a date night. Thank you very much. And Bader 1 says the presidency should have some perks attached to the job anyway. Air Force One and a helicopter and Secret Service is it. Make sure you log on to Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, or iReport.com. Tell us what you're thinking. We'll get your responses here on the air. We'd love to have your responses. Thank you very much. You know what? He wrote the Oscar-winning film about Harvey Milk. Well, tonight, he talks about the school for gays and lesbians named after the slain activist. Also, she was one of the world's most talked about talent show contestants. Guess what Susan Boyle lost tonight? What might her future hold? We'll find out from a very talented guy. And what is that? Is that a turtle?
Yeah, I'm a turtle.
Okay. I can't wait to talk to you, Turtle, in just a little bit. We'll see you, okay?
Okay.
Nominee, also Prop 8, and all the protests that are going on out west over this. We've been talking a lot about gay issues. Well, the high school social scene is tough for everyone, but for lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender teens, it can be traumatic. But schools like New York's Harvey Milk High are working to change that, and they are getting support from the Hedrick Martin Institute. I recently spoke with Oscar-winning screenwriter Dustin Lance Black about whether such a school would have made a difference in his life.
Absolutely. I think it would have helped. I think that to know that there's a safety net for kids, like gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered kids who, are being harassed in schools, because so many of these kids are being harassed. It's like something like 74% today are being harassed in schools, and 22% are being harassed physically. They're subjected to physical violence. So to know that there's that safety net, there's that place to go where you can, have access to, equal education without feeling like you might be beaten up or harassed. Just a safe place to go to learn, so maybe you can do something with your life. That would have been great.
There may be people in the larger culture who may not realize just, what horrors LGBT kids go through, and kids who have a diverse are diverse sexually, let's put it that way. They don't realize how they're teased and how detrimental it can be for their upbringing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not just the teasing and the direct violence. It's also being in a school where you hear, gay being thrown around as like a derogatory adjective, or you hear like your friends, saying some really awful stuff about other gay kids or lesbian kids. And you get those messages, and it makes you not want to show up at school, and that's very, very common. It's very common that LGBT kids just might not want to stick out. They might not want to excel.
And some kids end up taking their lives, which is, the worst thing that can happen, or they go through life and they're troubled, or they get on drugs or what have you. How did you get involved with this project?
Harvey Milk has obviously been a story that's saved my life. Like when I found out I had a gay hero, that there was even such thing as an out gay man, it was so inspiring to me that maybe, I could excel, maybe I could do good in my life. And so when I heard that the Harvey Milk School, this great safety net for LGBT kids, was struggling, because it's struggling. They just had to lay off, 20% of their staff. I thought, we've got to do something to save this. 26% of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender kids today are kicked out of their home. 26% are kicked out of their home when they come out. And, where do they go? We don't want them to end up on the streets. We want these kids to be able to learn and excel, and so we can't let something like the Harvey Milk School vanish. And
it's also, I guess all the help that the Hedrick Martin Institute can get, because Levi's is also helping as well. It's called GiveThemHopeNow.org. They have teamed up with you as well. I'm sure you're happy about that, because that will bring more funds.
Oh, I'm thrilled about that. You know what that means is, it means there's a place to go where just ordinary folks can go and give whatever they can to help these kids. But beyond that, if you take a look at the site, the GiveThemHopeNow.org site, you can tell your stories. So LGBT kids can go on and tell their stories, or parents of LGBT kids can tell their stories, or allies. And, it's through those stories that these kids figure out that they're not alone out there, that they have, friends and family in the struggle. And it's that sort of community that I think gives so many of these kids hope. And that hope will help them excel, even in their own schools. So you know, it's not just fundraising, it's also sort of bolstering these kids' self-esteems, which is so very important.
Straight ahead here on CNN, more of my conversation with the Oscar winner, Lance Black. Plus, Britain's singing sensation. A bit of my conversation with Oscar-winning screenwriter Dustin Lance Black. His outreach to gay, lesbian, and transgender teens is getting a lot of attention, and he talked to me about it.
I've heard a lot from young people. I mean, you know, the emails from either gay and lesbian kids who felt that they could finally come out, or that they felt good about themselves for the first time, or even some of the parents who I think understood personally perhaps what their kids were struggling with. I'll tell you, one of the wonderful things I got to do recently was through this organization, Live Out Loud. They have a homecoming project, and I was able to go back to my high school, which is in Salinas, California, and it's, you know, it's like, it's mostly working class Latino Catholic kids, and that's where I grew up, and it's a conservative school. And, you know, I walked out and I was received so warmly, and I was able to kind of go out there and tell them, you know, very openly that I am gay, and that just because you're gay doesn't mean that you can't achieve great things. And I got to say, in the Q&A, this kid stood up in front of 1,200 students, and he came out. Really? He came out of the closet, and he started to tell us his own story about his struggle coming out in a conservative home, and he started to cry. And the most remarkable thing was watching these students not sit there uncomfortably or even give polite applause. They gave this young man an ovation, and warmly received him. And what followed was 3 more kids, young lesbian and gay kids, coming out to their student body. And, you know, that's great change. That is great change. And I think it's through these programs and us telling our stories and dispelling those myths and stereotypes that, you know, the young people are starting to understand that you can't bully, and you have to not just tolerate gay and lesbian kids, but really love them and accept them.
All right. Lance Black,